In this video, we'll look at an introduction to formulas. Within Bepoz, there are many columns that we can add to reports. However, you may wish to have a column that doesn't exist currently within Bepoz. This is where, within formulas, you may be able to create the column yourself. Here is a report that is showing the store sales for the current year. In it, it has gross sales, net total, and account turnover. I would also like to add a column which is the sales for non-account sales. That is, the difference between the net total and the account turnover. If I look into View and I look through the columns, I find that this particular column doesn't currently exist within Bepoz. This is where I can create a formula to create that column myself. To do this, we firstly edit the view, then we click on the Add Formula button. We are then presented with the formula entry screen. Within this screen, you can create formulas as simple as adding two columns together, right up to very complex formulas where you can be using advanced mathematical formulae. In our example, we wish to subtract two columns. If we look to the left, you'll see that there are two tabs. One says operands, the other says functions. We'll look at the functions later. Firstly, under operands, the only area that we need to worry about is the report columns. If I click on the plus, you'll now see the reporting columns that are in this current view. In this case, the two columns that we need is net total and account turnover. What I wish to do is to have a report column that is net total minus account turnover. The first thing I need to do is add the net total column. If I go over to this and I double click on it, it will appear on the right hand side. You'll see that it has brackets around it and two slashes in front of us. This is the way the formula system refers to an existing column. We need not bother with this sort of detail. It simply puts that column there and we can recognize it by its name. What I need to do now is finish my formula. The formula will be net total minus account turnover. I can either click the minus button down here, or I could have just simply typed in the minus sign on the keyboard. Then I go over to my account turnover and double click on it. You will see that on the screen now I have net total minus account turnover. And importantly, down the bottom it says formula compiled successfully. Once I click OK, the formula column has now been added to my view. If I save the view and display the view, you'll see I have the column that I've just created. This is great. I have now added a whole new column to the reporting system within Bepoz. However, the column name is a little bit hard to understand. If we go back into the view and edit the view, this is where we can use the override text. I can put in a column name that makes more sense when I'm printing this report. And there I have my new report. Let's look at another few things we can do within formulas. If we go back into the view, if I wish to edit that formula, I can simply double click on that line and it will show me the formula that I have, and I can edit the formula from here. I can also add another formula to this report. This time, I want to use a special part of the formula system called running total. What I'd like to track is the account turnover, but have a running total down the report. If I simply just add account turnover, then I go plus, and I say running total, this is a special part of the formula system, and it tells the system to give me a running total of the account turnover column. If I save this, give it a name, and I show the report, you will see that I have my new column there. If you look down, you will see that it is the running total of the account turnover column. However, I'd like to change it now and make it the running total of the non-account sales. We can simply go in, edit this formula. Now what I want to do is put the insert cursor at the beginning of the formula, like so. I double click on net total and I want to put in my formula that I had before, which is net total minus account turnover. However, what I need to do is utilize the mathematical construct of a braces around the first part. This tells the system that what you should do is firstly process what's within the braces. So it will firstly do net total minus account turnover. Then it will create a running total of this. I change the name of my column and I save it, and there I have my new formula. Let's look back at formulas and see what other options are available. We'll go to add another formula, and let's just start to create another formula. I can do multiplication, subtraction, division very simply. I can start with 2 times, and remember, in computers, the asterisk is the multiplication sign. Open brackets, and you'll notice that as I'm building this formula down the bottom, it is telling me it has an error. Unexpected end of file on line 1, column 6. This is telling me that if I just hit the OK at this point, this formula will fail to work. But this is okay, as I know I'm still creating my formula. I can then add across the net total. I can do a subtraction from the account turnover, close the bracket, and divide it by 7. I can continue to create any sort of mathematical formula I wish. As you see, at this point, it says the formula compiled successfully. I can easily show this report, and there is my column. Let's look at some more complex examples. Firstly, we'll go in and we'll take out this formula, and we'll look across at the Functions tab. This tab contains all the functions within the formula system. It is very similar to the formulas within Excel. It is beyond this video to go through each of these functions in turn, but quickly looking at them, you can see that there is quite a lot of flexibility available within this formula system. They are very similar to the formula that is used within Excel. And just with playing and practice, you'll be able to use more and more of these functions. If we look at just one of these functions, we'll take the if function. If I double click on it, the system will show me a window that assists me in creating this formula. Let's just use this if statement now. If we read the description on the right, you'll see it says returns one value if a condition you specify evaluates to true, and another value if it evaluates to false. We'll create a column that if the net total is greater than 0, it returns one value, but if it's 0 or lower, it returns a different value. Is click in the logical test. We'll double click on the net total field, and you'll see it gets put into the logical test column. But I don't wish just to have that as a logical test. What I want to add is go back in there and say greater than 0. Now this is a part of a formula that is either going to be true or false. For simplicity's sake, if that is true, I'll simply return a 1. If it is false, I'll return a 0. Once I click on the OK, you will see how that formula is constructed on the screen. I could have easily just typed that in myself once I'm familiar with the if construct. Let's test this column and let's see what we get back. Here is my report, and you'll see quite clearly that most of the rows return a 1. However, the first row and the second last row, where the net total is 0 and minus 16,000 respectively, they both return a 0. Let's now make this column a bit more interesting. If we go back in and edit the column, and rather than just test whether net total is greater than 0, I want to test whether the account sales is greater than the non-account sales. To do this, I can firstly add the account turnover, make the greater than sign, open the brackets, and I need to put in my formula that I was using before to create the non-account sales, which is net total minus account turnover. And I need to get rid of the greater than 0. I've got my test now, but what I want to report back. If it is true, what I want to report is not the number 1, but the net total. If it is not true, I'll leave it at 0. I'll put in the name, and I'll show my report. And there we have it. So, as you see, in the column there is only a net total figure on the rows where the account turnover is greater than the non-account sales. You can see by this that formulas not only enable you to create columns based on mathematics, but also using logic, where the column's content is determined by conditions that you set up. This has been an introduction to the formulas within Bepoz. As you can see, the formulas is a very powerful part of the system. It enables you to create new columns and whole new reports customized to the way you wish to see your reports.